Hello everybody, we're back once again with some golf cart questions. I am Tim, I work for Golf Cart Garage. I'm a part of the Gearheads On Demand service. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on in this episode. We're going to go over some golf cart questions like we always do on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tim, Tuesdays, Thursdays. Let's see what we got here today. So many questions. Garage is open, so let's get started. Question number one. The cart is clicking, but not starting. All right, not a lot of info there. I don't know if it's electric or gas, but the fact that you said it's not starting kind of makes me think that you might be talking about gas. So we'll go over both of them. So it's clicking, so that makes me think that you're talking about the solenoid is clicking. All right, if it's gas, that means, what that means, if it's a gas car, that means everything's working all the way up to your solenoid, and your solenoid's clicking. All right, so the only thing left behind the solenoid for the gas car would be the starter generator. So we need to eliminate the solenoid if it's a gas car, because just because it clicks is not 100% positive that the solenoid's good. Not 100%. It's like 85, 90% positive that the solenoid's good. But you need to eliminate the solenoid as being the issue first. If it's an electric car, that means everything is working all the way up to your controller. The things that are behind the controller would be the controller itself is behind the solenoid, and then the motor. So you eliminate those two things. Because everything's working all the way up to the solenoid. If the solenoid is good, like I said again, just because the solenoid clicks doesn't not 100% given that it is that it's good. Let's see here. Number two, I have a question. I bought a used 96, 97 club car, and when you press the accelerator pedal, it clicks and jerks to take off. Also, when in reverse, it jerks, then clunks when you let off. Is this a simple fix? There aren't any local places I can take it to or ask. Well, I've said this a few times. 96, 97 club car, if you have that old style potentiometer that's up under the golf cart, it's not under the seat, it's not a V-glide under the seat, it's up under the golf cart mounted to the frame in a 96 or a 97. That's the old style potentiometer that they used just for about a year and a half there, and it's on a bunch of 96 and 97s. That's most likely going to be the cause of the jerk, the jerk on your takeoff. What you need to do there, if you want to fix that, you're going to have to replace that. It's not available anymore. That part's not available anymore. You're going to have to replace that with what is called a pre-𝗪𝗂𝗲 to 𝗪𝗂𝗲 conversion kit. That's still out of stock at Golf Cart Garage right now. You can check on it and see. Call up Golf Cart Garage and talk to one of our amazing customer service representatives, and they might know something about availability on it if it's still out of stock. But it's the pre-𝗪𝗂𝗲 to 𝗪𝗂𝗲 conversion kit is what it is. That's if you want to fix that. Now the clunk, that's a little different. I would say you can probably have two problems going on there. If you've got some kind of clunk going on, then I would be looking at the leaf spring bushings, because in 96, 97, it wouldn't be unusual at all for the leaf spring bushings to be just deteriorated to where you've got metal and metal going on. And when you go forward, you put pressure on that leaf spring, and it can make a clump. And then you go in reverse, it puts pressure in the opposite direction. If there's no bushing in there to take up that slack, it can make a clunk sound. So that's what I would be looking at there. All right. Question number 3. What type of lubricant do I use in my EZGO TXT 2007 gas golf cart rear axle? Is 80 to 90 gear oil or what? Well, I'm not sure what it calls for in the manual, in the parts manual. I don't have it memorized what it calls for, but gear oil is going to be fine. So yeah, that should be fine. It's basically it's a transaxle, and look, you might want to look it up just to be sure. But I think 80 to 90 gear oil would be fine. But if I was you, I would plug that into a Google and see what it says on a parts manual or an owner's manual for that car. just in case it's that's not what it's called for. I don't think it would hurt anything, but I'd want to be sure. All right. On YouTube, we got 𝗏𝘂𝘆. What's up, 𝗏𝘂𝘆? It says, hey Tim, on my 88 Club Car DS, the contacts on the V-Glide, can the contacts on the V-Glide be cleaned? The car used to be faster and seems to not achieve top speed. Would this be the cause, or do I need to replace it? Well, Kurt, on a V-Glide, the most important thing is, I mean, do they look dirty? Because they should look like brand new. They shouldn't be dirty at all. They should look brand new, copper colored, you know. And the most important thing on your top speed is all you have to do is push your accelerator pedal with that cover off and just make sure that arm is going all the way to the top contact. That's where you get your top speed, is at the top contact. If it's going to the top contact and you're still not getting your, you know, at full throttle, if it's going to the top contact and you still don't feel like you're going fast enough, then you got another issue somewhere. Let's see. Just checking to see if there's any questions over on Facebook. Looks like we're good there. Now we're on number 4. Put in new batteries in my 2010 48 volt RXV. While tightening the cables, my wrench dropped and touched the positive and negative leads. Oh, not good. Yep, the big spark happened. Cables caught fire. Got it under control. Now it runs great, no issues, but the lights don't work. Pretty much nothing electrical. Tried to locate the fuses and everything seemed fine. So typically when that happens, what is the typical fix? Well, there's not a typical fix when that happens. But if you drop a wrench, you know, you got to be real careful about dropping wrenches when you're working over the top of an electric cart with all those batteries right there, because bad things can happen for sure. And then it did happen to you. So the lucky part about what happened to you is you said everything runs fine. Well, you're very lucky that everything runs fine, because you could have taken out your controller, could have taken out the motor. There's no telling. There's no typical thing that you could have taken out. It's kind of like getting struck by lightning. You know, when lightning strikes your house, there's no typical thing it can take out. It may just take out your phone because it came through the phone line or something. It may take out your TV, may take out your refrigerator. So there's nothing typical about dropping a wrench and the big spark happening. But now, the weak point, or the weakest point, is the point that's supposed to blow. So let's just say your car's running good, like you said, and the only thing that's not working is your lights, and you said nothing electrical, so I'm assuming what you meant there was nothing 12 volt. All right. Well, your lights are off on a separate circuit than your cart's running circuit. And the circuit that causes your cart to be able to run is completely separate than the circuit that your lights are on. So in that circuit, in that wire, if I don't know if it's got its own wiring harness for your lights, or if your lights are hooked into the OEM harness that eventually goes to a voltage reducer, or if your lights are hooked to one 12 volt battery under your seat, it just depends. You probably have a voltage reducer. So somewhere coming out of the voltage reducer, there's going to be a fuse. And it sounds like you might have popped the fuse. So that's where I would be looking. I would just continue to look for the fuse. Find your voltage reducer, or find out where your lights are actually getting power from. Now, out of that, there's going to be a fuse somewhere before it gets to your switch, you know, that turns your lights on. All right. Number 5. I have a 96 EZGO. I put a new motor in it, and after I did, I have no power whatsoever. I took it to the dealer, and he quoted that I need a new controller, solenoid, and tow switch. When they analyzed it, it only came up to 24.5 volts. Is it possible all of this can go at once? What do you recommend? Okay, I would have several questions there. What's the 24.5 volts mean? I mean, when you said they analyzed it, did they I mean, if you just put a voltmeter on your battery pack, is it only 24.5 volts? Because if that's the case, that's why your car won't run. I mean, that's way too low. Your car's a 36 volt car. 96 EZGO is going to be a 36 volt car. It's not going to run on 25 volts. So you got a battery issue there. Now, let's just say that throw that 24.5 volts out, and the dealer quoted you all those other things that needed to be replaced. My question would be, since he even included the tow switch, that tells me what kind of car you had. In 96, if it has a tow switch, a tow maintenance switch, then it is an EZGO DCS electrical system. Now, the way that all of those items could get blown up at once is the car, my question would be, was the car towed with the tow run switch in run? Because that could make all of those items, in fact, it could ruin your batteries too. So the 24.5 is, if that is your batteries, and that car was towed a long distance at a decent speed with the tow switch not put in tow, is kept in run, then yes, the answer to your question is yes. All that stuff could happen at once, but that's about the only way all that stuff could happen at once that I can think of. All right. We're on number 6, but let me jump over here real quick. I don't see any questions there. I don't see any there. Number 6. I have a G19 golf cart, 48 volt, 6 8-volt batteries. I only use it continually for 3 to 4 months per year. The remaining time, it sits in a shed unattended. What are your thoughts for the batteries while it just sits idle in Florida? Replacing batteries every year has become cost prohibitive. I greatly appreciate your thoughts and suggestions. Well, that's a very common question. You have to come up with a battery plan. See, people get electric golf cars and they think that there's, all I got to do is charge it and go, you know, but it's a little more complicated than that. You have to have some type of battery plan, especially if you're going to leave your car unattended for months at a time, like what you're describing. You would, in order for that to be successful, and yeah, buying batteries every year, yeah, that would get old pretty quick. In order for that system that you've got going there with the 3 to 4 months, and then letting it stay unattended for, like, I don't know, 8 months or so, you're going to have a plan to where either someone is going to need to charge your golf cart for you while you're away, occasionally, like during those 8 months that you're away, or 10 months. You're going to have either someone charge it occasionally, or you're going to need to get a new charger that does that automatically. And at Golf Cart Garage, that would be the Summit 2 charger. So go to golfcartgarage.com, ask one of the customer service representatives there. They know all about the Summit 2. And what the Summit 2 does is it has a storage mode function on it. And it's designed for situations exactly like what you're describing, where people leave their car unattended for long periods of time. And it automatically comes on and charges the golf cart, checks things out, makes sure everything is cool, and keeps your batteries topped off, and will help you not ruin your batteries every year. Because if you let them sit too long, then they're just going to get worse and worse and worse. You know, every year they're going to get worse. I mean, you're not going to get a full 5 years out of a good set of lead acid if you do that too many times. All right, number 7. I would like to know if a golf cart charger can be stored in a shed during winter that has no heat. Thank you for your help. I don't see why not. A golf cart charger is not going to be affected by the cold. Now, the golf cart itself, the batteries in the golf cart might be affected a little bit by the cold, you know, but the golf cart charger, in fact, that's probably the best case scenario for a golf cart charger, because a golf cart charger gets hot, you know, when it's trying to charge a cart. So if it was already cold, that keeps it cool. The cooler a golf cart charger can remain, the better it's going to do at its job, actually. So no, I don't think the cold is going to affect a golf cart charger. It makes the batteries, it makes it a little more important for the batteries to stay fully charged, because fully charged batteries won't freeze. Well, fully charged batteries can freeze, but it would be so cold that everybody in the world would be frozen too. So it's not a false statement. So fully charged batteries will not freeze under normal circumstances and in normal environmental conditions. So as long as you keep your batteries fully charged, I think you'll be fine with those, and the cold should not affect your golf cart charger. Let's see. We're going to look at number 8 here in a second. Number 8 is from Michael. I purchased the Club Car DS heavy duty forward and reverse switch for 96 plus. I need some help with troubleshooting. Well, I can tell you this, I don't know how much help I'm going to be able to be without getting more into your question, more details about your situation, but the only difference between the heavy duty forward and reverse switch and the one that you took out is the thickness of the copper bus bars. That's it. That's the only difference. Everything else is the same. So in other words, to install it, it wires up exactly the same as the one that you took out. In fact, even if the micro switches are different on the heavy duty one, sometimes there's the wire color code might be different, or the 3 micro switches might be different. Even if they are, you can take those off of the new one and take the ones off of your old forward and reverse switch and put on the new one. So it is exactly the same as your old one, and the wire color code would be exactly the same, and then install it back on your car. That's why it's very important before you start taking anything apart to take some good pictures. Take several good pictures, because we're talking about several wires and 3 micro switches probably on your heavy duty forward and reverse switch. But yeah, it hooks up exactly the same as your old one. All right. Oh, in case you're new here, also we're going to be giving away something here at the end of the video, so stick around to the end. We're just about there, and I'll be giving away something. Let's see, number 9. I have 8-volt batteries. I have 6 8-volt batteries. If one of the batteries is reading low voltage and the rest are reading correct voltage, will it affect the performance? Well, the answer to that question is absolutely. Absolutely, it could affect performance, depending on what you mean is reading low voltage. Like you have an 8-volt battery, what do you consider low voltage? I would consider, if you had an 8-volt battery that was reading anything under 8.0, I would consider that low voltage. Anything under that. And if it's reading 6, then it means you probably got a dead cell. I mean, a completely dead cell. So yes, that will absolutely affect the performance of your golf cart. If you want to see how much it can affect your performance, then put your voltmeter. I don't have my voltmeter with me. put your voltmeter alligator clip leads on that battery, and then put the voltmeter up in the seat with you, and watch the voltage and watch how far it drops down when you take off, as compared to your other batteries that have normal voltage. And yes, that will definitely affect performance. All right, number 10. This is the last regular question, by the way, number 10. Is there a way to get rid of the acid buildup? Maybe acid is the wrong word, but the gunk that sometimes build up at the end of the cable. Well, no, acid's not the wrong word. That's corrosion caused by acid, and it is toxic, and it's a pain. It can mess up your concrete floor. It can it can actually eat a cable away on the inside. So it's a bad deal, and you got to make sure you clean it outside of your garage, because you don't want to clean it and it falls on your garage floor, because it will etch your concrete in your floor. So let's start with what causes that first. Let's start with how that starts and how that happens, because it's sort of a process that if you don't pay attention to it, it ends up getting worse and worse and worse and worse. What mainly causes that is people that put too much water in their batteries. Like I've talked about this before, when you got a set of lead acid batteries, and I hear customers talk about how they filled up their batteries with water, I don't like that, because filling them up makes me think you went all the way to the top with your water. That's what they do at a golf course. You know, when they got the golf cart boys that help the golfers, and the carts come in, and one of their jobs is to fill up the batteries, you know, with water. Well, and that's pretty much what they do. They fill them up, and they end up, you should see the concrete and at golf courses, you know, that if they're not really taken care of properly, the concrete is just terrible, and it's all acid, and it smells, and it's a bad deal. But anyway, all the way to the top is too much. You only want to fill your batteries up to where the lead plates are covered with water, and there's still a little bit of room to the top, because the battery water level or acid water level rises a little bit during the charge cycle and drops a little bit during the discharge cycle. As you're using the car, it drops. So you don't want it to be full all the way to the top, because the next time you charge the car, that acid's got to come out. It's going to overflow out of the top a little bit. And where's it going to go? It's going to go right to the first metal, which is your battery post with your cable in. If that keeps happening, corrosion builds up on that cable end. It can cause that cable to get loose. It can cause that cable to start getting hot and continuously getting looser and continuously getting hotter, to the point where it can melt that terminal of that battery and just melt a hole right in the battery. Now, also, if you have a cable, just a cable, like what you're talking about, and gunk appears on the end, and you clean it off, and then the gunk appears on the same end over and over and over again, and you're not overfilling your batteries, and you know you're not, but it still happens, what can happen there is that corrosion can go inside the insulation of that cable. So, and you can't get to that. You can't get to that corrosion. All you can get to is what you can see right there on the end. So you're cleaning that off, but actually that corrosion could be an inch further under the insulation of that cable. So if that's the case, then you just got to replace the cable. There's nothing you can do. If it's not long enough for you to cut it off and get to clean copper and crimp a new end on it, if you don't have enough cable left to do that, then you got to replace that cable, and that could solve your problem. All right. I said we are going to give away something, and here we go. TIM giveaways. You get 5% off any parts you order at checkout at golfcartgarage.com if you use TIM6. TIM6. That code expires on January the 8th, 2022. You get 5% off golfcartgarage.com at checkout. All right. That was the last regular question. Let me see here how we're doing over there. Everything looks good. Everything looks good. All right. Now we are ready for this session's tip. I think I've already said it during this session, but I'll just go over it one more time. And it was this tip has to do with the person that said something about the clunk. That asked about that they had a clunk sound. Well, I've seen it many times in older golf cars. What I had said earlier about the leaf spring bushings. Occasionally, if your car is older, if your car's in the 90s or even the early 2000s, you might want to do a visual inspection. It's very easy to do. You don't even have to get on the ground to do it. On some golf cars, you can see the leaf spring bushings. Just look at the rear leaf spring bushings. They will disintegrate over time and just fall apart. And then what happens is you got metal to metal going in those connections on the leaf spring bushings. So that's why they make leaf spring bushings kits, for your leaf springs. So occasionally check your leaf springs. Just take a visual look at them and see if you see any cracks or see any parts missing, like chunks will be missing out of them if they're getting to the point where they're disintegrating. So that was this week's tip. Leaf spring bushings. Take a visual look at them occasionally, especially if you're hearing some kind of noise. All right, let's see. That looks like it's about it for this episode. This was episode 80, believe it or not, of Gearheads on Demand. Oh yeah, I said I was going to talk about that. If you're interested in speaking with me or one of the other technicians here at Golf Cart Garage about your golf cart related issue, click the link in the description. That will take you to the scheduling page for Gearheads on Demand. You can schedule an appointment where I will call you and talk to you about your issue, or one of the other technicians will call you, depending on who you want to speak with. We may be able to help you out, may be able to help you repair your own cart or whatever issue you might be having. So if you're interested in that, click the link in the description, and if you like this content, then like and subscribe. and then you'll get notified, you know, before I go on the air. And you can say, if you send in a question, it may be featured on this episode, or maybe featured on a live episode. All right, I want to thank everybody for coming. We will see y'all again. The garage is now closed. Oh, wait a minute. We got 𝗪𝗂𝗲𝗂𝗂𝘁𝗍𝗔 on Facebook right before I was about to exit. Let's see what we got here. What's up, Sydney? It says I have a 2008 EZGO RXV. I want to change the rear lights to LED for better brightness. I changed one and both work, and the LED is brighter as I wanted. When I changed both to LED, then neither one works. I was able previously to change the headlights. To LED. What am I missing or doing wrong? All right, this is what I'll say. All these light kits that golf cars have, they're all brand specific as far as color code and plugs go. They're all brand specific. Now, some of them have the same plug on the end, but the color code is different when you switch brands. So the only way that would work perfectly is if the LED lights that you got were the exact same brand as the lights that you had in there, and that's probably not the case. So you're not doing anything wrong, is what I'm saying, most likely. You just need to figure out the wire combination. You might have to switch some things around in order for both of them to work, because you obviously have, you know, power coming to your tail lights, or check to make sure that you do, you know, with a voltmeter. If you've got power, just the fact that you change them to LED should not cause any of the symptoms that you're working with. I'm thinking that you got to figure out your new color code. Okay, so you're only changing the bulbs. You're not changing the fixtures, just the bulbs. Well, you're changing the bulb to an LED type bulb, like one of those that has a bunch of bulbs in it. Is that what you're doing? Because I don't see how that would cause your symptom either. Everything should be fine. If you're not even changing the wires and you're just changing the bulbs, and it's the correct bulbs, then it shouldn't be an issue at all. Okay, so that's what you're doing. You're just changing to the bulb. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that would be then, Sydney. It would have to be something that I'm not considering, because if it's the correct bulb, then everything should be fine. I mean, I've done that myself in a pontoon boat. I took out the old incandescent bulb and replaced it with an LED bulb, and everything is absolutely fine. I mean, so I understand what you're trying to do there, and I didn't have to change any wiring, or there should not be any effect on that circuit that's different. It should just burn a little bit brighter, because those lights burn a little bit brighter. If you figure that out, come back in one of the shows and let me know. I'll remember this. I'll remember that question, I can assure you, because I don't understand why it would be doing what you're describing if it works with the old ones just fine. It's got to be something to do with the bulb itself, you know, the new LED bulbs. All right. All right, I guess that's going to be it for me. All right, I'll see everybody Tuesday. The garage is now closed.